Good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy May 1st. It's May Day today. Shout out to everyone celebrating International Workers' Day, and a special shout out to my grandma Ellie. Happy birthday. I hope to see you tonight. And as always, thanks for stopping in, watching, and checking out the Daily Brief. I'm Kyler Collum. This is the Dakotan Studios, and let's get right into this day in history. In 1898, the Battle of Manila Bay took place in the Spanish-American War, which was a massive, quote, massive naval battle between American and Spanish forces, wiping out all 7 Spanish ships in Manila Bay in the Philippines, while no U.S. ships were sunk. Fast forward to 1945, German radio broadcasts news of Adolf Hitler's death. In 1945. Fast forward to 1960, the U-2 incident takes place in the Cold War. Francis Gary Powers in a U-2 spy plane is shot down over Soviet Union, sparking a big diplomatic crisis. Then in 1961, the very next year, the Prime Minister of Cuba, Fidel Castro, proclaims Cuba a socialist nation and abolishes elections. Then let's fast forward up to, when was it, 1999. The body of British climber George Mallory is found on Mount Everest, 75 years after his disappearance in 1924. Thought possibly to be the first person to ever make the peak of Mount Everest, but it is unknown since him and his climbing partner were both killed on their ascent or descent. Who knows? And back in 2019, the new Japanese emperor takes the throne, succeeding his father, Akihito. And let's go to the news. First off, some more Ray Holmberg updates, not directly with him, but some of the fallout with everything. The North Dakota university system is reviewing records for possible violations of law or policy after new documents revealed former Senator Ray Holmberg communicated with multiple individuals tied to UND and the State Board of Higher Education about his sexual interest in young boys. While none of those named are accused of criminal wrongdoing, UND President Andrew Armacost and others have pledged to sever all ties and investigate whether any officials failed to report misconduct. Holmberg, sentenced to 10 years in federal prison, represented Grand Forks and held key roles overseeing university funding and governance for decades. 23 North Dakota Center for Persons with Disabilities employees at MSU here in Minot to be let go amid federal cuts. Nearly 24 staff members at the North Dakota Center for Persons with Disabilities at Minot State University are being laid off due to federal funding cuts, according to an internal message from President Stephen Shirley. This email, obtained by KMOT, described the decision as very difficult and outside the university's financial control. While 23 employees have been affected, Shirley emphasized the center will continue to operate and remain an essential part of MSU's mission. The layoffs reflect broader cost-cutting trends among federal agencies impacting local programs. Then yesterday as well, Governor Armstrong presents 7 travel and tourism awards here in Minot. Governor Kelly Armstrong visited Minot on Wednesday to celebrate North Dakota's tourism sector, presenting awards to standout individuals and organizations at the state fairgrounds. The ceremony honored 7 recipients for their contributions to welcoming visitors and promoting the state's attractions. Highlights included Brock White of Watford City winning the Amplifier Award for boosting the city's visibility, and Minot's own Stephanie Schoenrock receiving the Legend Award for industry leadership. Armstrong praised efforts to expand tourism while emphasizing the importance of building communities that attract and retain residents, especially in addressing the state's workforce needs. Private donations to keep Humanities North Dakota open after federal cuts. Humanities North Dakota has secured $300,000 in private donations to help stay afloat after losing its $900,000 federal grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities, which was terminated in April following a Trump administration executive order aimed at streamlining bureaucracy. The bulk of the funding includes $200,000 from the Mellon Foundation and $100,000 from other donors, with an additional $50,000 in potential matching funds. While the support offers temporary relief, Executive Director Brenna Gerhart says it won't fully replace the lost funding. In response, Humanities North Dakota is launching a national digital initiative called The Study to share programming with other states also impacted by the cuts. Nationally, GOP senators urge a long view of Trump's presidency after he has now surpassed 100 days in office. As President Donald Trump marked 100 days into his second term, Senate Republicans remain confident in his long-term policy agenda, despite polls showing rising public dissatisfaction, particularly with the economy. GOP lawmakers defended Trump's tariff strategy and touted early wins on border security and deregulation, arguing these will yield stronger approval as outcomes become visible. They pointed to upcoming legislative efforts, including a sweeping reconciliation bill, tax cuts, and energy provisions, as key opportunities to reshape public opinion, still with only 37% approval on economic handling. Some GOP senators urged Trump to better communicate his economic vision directly to Americans. And on the international front, last night, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth sends a strong message to Iran and the Houthis saying, "You will pay." U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued a stark warning Iran late Wednesday, declaring the nation would face consequences for its lethal support of Yemen's Houthi rebels, following a series of attacks that culminated in a U.S. F-18 falling into the Red Sea. Hegseth's message, delivered on social media, underscored growing U.S. frustration after nearly 7 weeks of airstrikes against Houthi positions. He was backed by a forceful statement from President Trump, who blamed Iran for orchestrating Houthi aggression and vowed that any future attacks would be treated as direct acts of war by Iran itself. So, stark words coming from Secretary of State Hegseth, or Secretary of Defense Hegseth, excuse me. But that wraps up our news section of the Daily Brief today. So, as always, thank you everyone for checking out. You can get these full articles at the website mydakotan.com. Make sure you check it out. And as always, make sure you give us a comment, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the bell for notifications every time you go live. Coming up today at 9, we do have ND Talk. Jonathan and I are sitting down with a guest, and we're going to be discussing some happenings in the state, go over maybe some property tax and the stalemate that's happened there. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great night.